What is going on, guys? I'm Taylor from Coaster Studios. We're here with Alec.
Hello.
And we're here to do something a little bit different. So if you're in the community, you've been watching this channel, you're probably hearing a lot of words and things that maybe have been mentioned in vlogs, different reviews, and so on and so forth. And I know there's a lot of new people that have been following the channel, and I'm thrilled to see the success and growth of everything, but maybe there's some people that don't quite know what we mean by that. And every once in a while I see a comment saying, hey, what does this mean? So we want you to do a video explaining some of the slang and jargon in the coaster community.
And even within like our own friend group, we have kind of taken some of the lingo and taken it a step further. So we'll be sharing some of those things and aspects with you as well.
And the beauty about it is that you can apply any of what we're about to say to your everyday life. You do not have to use any of these in theme parks. And even as you see these words, you can come up with your own words and phrases and adaptations that you use within your own friend group. And so that's kind of what we love about what we're about to share with you.
Absolutely. All right, so the most basic word that we're going to start with is enthusiast. So what does that entail? Well, we consider enthusiast as anyone that has that passion about roller coasters that differentiates themselves further than the general public, which we'll get to more later.
And anyone can be an enthusiast, and again, it does not have to be with specifically roller coasters. You can be a bubblegum enthusiast. I mean, literally anything.
Escalator enthusiast?
Yep, elevator enthusiast.
Yeah, lawn chair enthusiast.
Couch enthusiast.
I mean,
we're literally just naming things in the room around us.
I know there's one out there, so.
Yep, and so even within the word enthusiast, we have a slang for that. We call them thusies. Is just a way to shorten the word. It makes it easier to say. And so if we see a group of people maybe wearing their roller coaster t-shirts, we can tell, oh, that's a group of thusies out there, and we see them at a theme park. So that is one way that we go about saying that word.
And this is a perfect lead-in to the exact opposite of an enthusiast, which is
GP. So this is slang for general public. And I know there's been kind of mixed thoughts on what this entails. And almost the definition has changed over the years, because the term GP has actually been around for years, way before even Coaster Studios.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the most basic sense, it means someone who does not follow roller coasters. But like we mentioned, you can be GP for anything else. I am sports GP.
Yep, I could agree. Can attest to that.
What are you GP about?
Sports is like the biggest one.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big sports GP.
So, and what we really want to emphasize is that the phrase GP is not one that is meant to be harmful. Because I know that sometimes people think that the word GP, if you're GP, that is a bad thing. Newsflash, guys, we're all GP about something.
Absolutely.
And so if you're in the coaster community, don't go up to someone and call them GP to their face or anything like that. So, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, we absolutely appreciate the GP. I mean, without them, we wouldn't have the parks to be able to go to, and they wouldn't be installing new attractions that we as enthusiasts love, because what drives the attendance is the GP.
Exactly. Yeah. So GP is not a harmful phrase, but it is one that we like to throw around to differentiate the thusies from the GP.
Awesome. So up next, I guess we can talk about credits. So this one's absolutely huge with enthusiasts. The moment you become an enthusiast, the number one question you might get is, hey, what's your credit count? So what they're asking when they ask what your credit count is they're wondering, how many roller coasters have you been on? Not how many times you've been on a roller coaster, but the different roller coasters that you've been on. So pretty much that just means you just keep track, a tally of all the coasters that you've been on. There's a lot of misinformation about certain rides and whether they're a credit or not.
Yeah,
like
and everyone has their own definition.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty about it, is really anything can be a credit if you want it to be a credit.
Yeah, we get pretty crazy with our credits. Like, I love getting the mall creds.
Yeah. I love getting the city creds.
Yeah.
And so anything can be a cred. And that is something that you can keep track of. I sometimes mentally keep track of airport creds. How many airports have I been to?
And sometimes we just get really silly about it, and we just say like anything. Like, so say I get a drink, I'm like, oh, I need a straw cred. Like, it's
it's like it's really so silly, dumb. But, and so that I know there's a lot of people that are like, okay, what differentiates? Is it a roller coaster credit? I know I personally refer to RCDB, the roller coaster database, to decide if something is a roller coaster credit, as in if it is on that website. I personally count it as a credit.
That's a safe bet. Yeah.
Yep. And but so even sometimes there's gonna be some things. There's people that don't count mountain coasters or backyard roller coasters. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. And the thing is, there's no right or wrong answer. Really, if you consider a credit and you can back up your answer, go for it. It's a credit.
Awesome.
And the next one that we want to talk about is a tradition that we as enthusiasts love, and it is called Loretta or Farrat, and that is an abbreviation for last ride of the night or first ride of the day. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Anytime you're at a theme park and you want to be the last one to ride that ride for the day, then you would purposely wait for the last train that they're sending before the park closes. And then to counter that, if you are getting there at opening, you want to be the first person on that ride for the day, then it is Farrat, first ride of the, and then the letters that would follow is whatever ride that you're going there. So it initiated from Loretta Knob. You want to talk about that?
So Loretta Knob, something Lucas and I created a few years back, just because we realized that everyone was always talking about, hey, we want to get the last ride of Beast. So instead of saying all of that, we were like, hey, let's be lazy and shorten it to Loretta Knob. And there were so many traditions that were added to just Loretta Knob itself that it became its own event, essentially. So almost every time I go to Kings Island and I try to get Loretta Knob, there's always someone there at the entrance of the ride waiting for Loretta Knob itself, just because it's been able to build up itself as its own event, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. And again, you change out the end letter to whatever ride you're talking about. Absolutely. So if you're trying to get the last ride of the night on Fury 325, it would be Loretta Knob 325.
Yep.
And so you can pretty much just, and sometimes when, let's say that it is a name of a ride that has multiple letters, it can get pretty ridiculous.
Like Flight of Fear, Loretta Knob. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
yeah, exactly. So you can have fun with it, and that's something that, it's, at the end of the day, it's something that if you want to do it, you can. And I think personally, it really adds to the experience, and it makes that day maybe a bit more fulfilling.
Absolutely.
But by no means do you have to do it. Like, it doesn't not make you an enthusiast if you don't do it.
Yep. Alright, so the next one is something kind of we did as a friend group, but it's one thing that I've noticed is that I used it so often that the people around me were starting to use it. We would show up at parks and people that I've never met before that lived on the other side of the country were using this same jargon. And the jargon that I'm talking about is what the. So this one, I think, originated at Dollywood when we got together for the first coaster.
And you may think, okay, how does that have to do with roller coaster? We're getting to that.
We'll get to it. So pretty much it started out as we wanted to make a clean version of slang. So usually there's like what the F.
Or what the heck.
Yeah,
that kind
something
of thing.
like that.
So what happened is that we said we want to make something more specific. What the heck is kind of vague, And so we want to make something specific that talks about what we are saying what the heck about. So it actually originated as what the GP.
Yeah.
And it started that because maybe there was a non-enthusiast that did something ridiculous. And so we were like, oh, what the GP? Something like that.
And from there, it took off. And then we started using that with almost anything. So it pretty much became the aspect of where we were calling things out in a question form. Mm-hmm. So if we saw like only one train running, we'd be like, what the one train ops?
Yeah, exactly. Or let's say that you see a group of Thusies. You say, what the Thusies about to get Farrat on Tennessee Tornado?
Yeah, and see,
then you see how you combine it.
Layer of aspects.
Yeah, so that's why we're also telling you guys this. The order of this is specific because you can really build upon all of what we're talking about.
Yep.
Next one we want to talk about, and this really goes into depth too, that you can take a word and apply it into whatever you want, and that is the word capacity. So the term capacity comes from whenever you're at a theme park or a ride and it is so full that they physically cannot let any more people in there. So let's say that you fill a train, as in there's no more available seats. That train is at capacity. Or if the park is absolutely slammed, they are not letting any more guests in there, the park is at capacity.
Yeah. And then, so what we've done is we started applying it to almost anything we've done in our everyday lives.
Like even if it was not at capacity.
Absolutely not. Like, it's just something, almost me, every time I say it, I like say, oh my gosh, this place is at capacity.
And there's like 3 people there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll sometimes show up at work and the parking lot will be empty. I'm the first one there. I'm like, why is this place at capacity?
Yeah. Or let's say that specifically, maybe you're showing up to an amusement park and the toll booth is slammed and you're just there and you're like, why are toll booths at capacity? So you can apply it to whatever you want. If you're going through TSA at an airport, why is the airport literally at capacity?
Or when you're trying to use the restroom, why is this at capacity?
Yeah. Speaking of restroom, do you want to talk about the next one?
Yeah, so this is a good lead-in. So amusement parks, they're all about efficiency. We want to get riders on, we want to get riders off, we want to increase the speed of food lines, things like that. So one thing that we've adopted is letting each other know what we're about to do. So one of those is when we have to use the restroom, we're just like, hey, I'm going to go 6 or I'm going to go 12. So you're probably wondering, how do you...
Why the number 6 and why the number 12? And then
so,
what does that mean?
Yeah, so this is the background on it. So it should take an associate the average of 6 minutes to leave their workplace, go to the restroom, and return.
And that is when you are peeing.
All right? So
12 is doubled for when you
doubled.
You get the point.
Yeah. So we just use that when we're like talking about what we have to do, like, hey, I'm gonna go 6.
And also, it sounds a lot more professional than saying,
Yes.
I'm going to go pee. Maybe you wouldn't say that in public, but you just say to your friend, hey, I'm going to go 6 real fast.
Yeah.
And there you go. And they know maximum that you're going to be gone no more than 6 minutes, but probably depending on how close you are to the restroom, it should take less.
Taylor loves to say he's going to go 6 and actually 12, so it's great.
I mean, you're not wrong. One that we love to do, and this is always something that we do when we like to prank each other, and it actually originates from haunt events. So when you go to a Halloween haunt or a Fright Fest, there are scare actors there, and their job is to pop scare you. It is when you are there minding your own business and they jump out of nowhere and that got my blood pumping and adrenaline rushing. So we said, what if you could pop scare in everyday life, but not as like you're jumping out and trying to physically scare them. It is more just when you come out of nowhere and you were not expecting it.
Yeah, I value myself as a king of pop scares, and I hope that he can attest to that.
Yes.
So what I do for a really good pop scare is I'll turn my snap maps off the moment before I go to the
So we cannot see where he is.
Yeah. Usually that raises suspicion, so I've gotten pretty clever on how to do it sometimes. And then what happens is I'll fly to my final destination, and then I'll be like, pop scare, look where I'm at.
And they're like, oh my gosh, you're at Busch Gardens, Tampa.
Yeah, they had literally no clue that I've done it.
Yeah, and so we have no idea that he has booked that trip, months in advance, and so it's just one day he's not, and then one day he is.
Yeah, and then sometimes I've been working at Kings Island, and then Failer pop scares me.
Yep.
I had no idea he was coming to Ohio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So really, you can pop scare anything, and that is something that we like to do. It's pretty much just when you have no planned notice of what is about to happen.
So we have a lot of friends that are in the amusement park industry, working in the industry, and when you work in the industry, you come across a lot of guests. And when you are with those guests, you like to talk to them in a pleasant manner and help them solve their problems that they're having. And should a problem arise, what happens is called guest relating.
Yep. So pretty much that is just when you are trying to talk with someone. Maybe you don't know them that well. That's kind of where it comes from, because you have your PR person, your public relations. They deal with people that they've never met before, and maybe you would then do what we call guest relating. Is you're talking with them and you're just getting to know them better. So that could even be applied in when you're meeting someone new. You're just like, hey, I'm guest relating with this person, or so on.
A lot of times we'll be at a restaurant and the waiter will make like a joke, and I'm like, oh, look at him guest relating with us.
Exactly. You could even apply it in the dating world.
Yeah.
That's something that we love to make fun of.
So if you want to use common teenager slang and apply it to the Thuzy world, one is like shooting your shot. That's what we would say is guest relating in terms of dating.
Yeah. And then the last one that we really want to talk about, and this one is a little obscure. It actually comes from RMC. So when they originally came out with Storm Chaser, there was an element on it called a trick track double up. And so we said, well, trick track, what on earth is that? And so we said, we kind of took the term trick track and applied it into our slang.
Yeah. So pretty much how we turned it into our own slang is we use it when anything was confusing to us or misled us, and it's kind of surprising, something that's like shocking that we weren't expecting. It's a little bit different than pop scare. Trick track is more you were expecting something to happen and then it didn't happen. So oftentimes we'll be on a roller coaster and there was an element we weren't expecting. We're like, what, the trick track? Even though it wasn't a trick track, it's the whole definition of the word that we started applying.
Yeah, or let's say that you have somewhere to be at a certain time, and then it gets bumped to earlier than you were expecting. You're like, oh, that's such a that's a trick track right there.
Yeah.
So those are some of our favorite terms. There's certainly a lot more, and even as we learn and grow and progress, we are constantly coming up with new stuff. So we want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, if you would like to hear more of some of our terms, And if this helped you, maybe some of the things that we talked about you were wondering about and you had heard and wanted some clarification on. So, I'm Taylor. That's
I'm
Alec.
Yep.
And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.